Welcome to SEC Spring Football, Auburn style, presented by Regions Bank. A glorious day on the loveliest village on the plains. It's A-Day. It's the blue and the white as Auburn wraps up their spring football 2016, and we're here to bring it into your household. Dave Neal alongside my partner, former Georgia All-American offensive lineman Matt Stinchcomb. And Matt, you had a chance to play in quite a few of these, and in particular, I want to get your thoughts about coming off a season where maybe it wasn't the season you really wanted to have. How important is this spring for the Auburn Tigers?
Well, it's their first real chance to reboot, because it wasn't the season that anyone anticipated, certainly outside of the program or within, and this is their chance to turn the page. It also gives not just the players and the coaches, but the fans in attendance, the ones watching, a chance to look forward to the 2016 season as they build towards the future as opposed to looking back.
All right, well, there certainly are plenty of storylines around the SEC, but here in Auburn in particular, some new coaches along the way. Let's break down some of those storylines that we'll be talking about this afternoon.
Well, the big one's the new defensive coordinator, Kevin Steele, coming over from LSU, but some two new offensive coaches as well. Wide receiver coach Cody Burns, familiar with the program, former player, and Herb Hand, the new offensive line coach. The quarterback competition will be pivotal to Auburn's success this season. Will they get contribution to the running game from that position? That's when the offense has done best, is when they can get something out of the QB position in the Q run game. And ultimately, can they run more plays? Overall, offensively, they want to be more explosive, but they want to be more efficient. Can they get in and out of the huddle and get more snaps to face their opponent's defense?
This is the guy that a lot of eyes will be on. JF3, John Franklin III, the junior college transfer, will be on display. When we come back, Maria Taylor will spend some time with the head coach of the Tigers on the other side.
We can't save too much money because we are in debt. Working with somebody at the bank is different. I don't really know what they can help us with. We're hoping to get a little guidance with buying a house and also just what to do financially. The Insights by Regions helped me see how we can save and pay off our debt at the same time and why we would want to do that. I feel so much better knowing that everything's taken care of. I'm so ready to take our next step.
SEC Network Spring Football is presented by Regions Bank, proud to be the official bank of the SEC, and in part by Auto Owners Insurance. Safe, sound, secure for 100 years. Find your local independent agent at AutoOwners.com. And AT&T, mobilizing your world.
Boy, what a day for the Tiger Walk as the players making their way into Jordan-Hare Stadium earlier today, getting ready for this A-Day football game, and we are just moments away from taking a look at what will be some of the pieces of 2016 Auburn football. Third member of our team is Maria Taylor. She is down on the field, and she has corralled the head coach of Auburn, Gus Malzahn. Maria, take it away.
Thank you so much, Dave. Coach, you've had 15 spring practices, a chance to see it on the field. What do you hope translates here during the spring game?
I want our guys to play hard, have fun playing the great game of football in front of the best fans of college football.
All right, with your three quarterbacks, what would you like to see early in the first half?
Yeah, really just managing the offense and being very efficient, not turning the ball over.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
We will talk to Coach Malzahn throughout the afternoon, get some thoughts from him as this game unfolds. And speaking of this game, obviously a little different than most games. Here are the rules for this particular spring game. In the first half, we will have a pretty normal game. The squads are split up, blue and white. Obviously, blue team mainly your first team unit. White will be your second team unit. John Franklin III will get the start at quarterback today. The second half will be more of a running clock situation. There'll be no kickoffs today. And John Franklin III will hand it off right away. That'll go to Jason Smith on a little bit of a sweep. And he'll pick up, actually lose a couple of yards on that first carry. And here's a little bit of that tempo that Coach Malzahn was trying to implement. Everything spring practice has been fast, fast, fast. Quick throw to the outside. That pass is caught to Jason Smith, the junior out of Mobile. No gain on that play. Third down and a dozen coming up.
Take a look at the plays that they ran per game a season ago versus 2013 and 14, first 2 years of Coach Malzahn's tenure as the head coach. Only really 3 snaps per game different. but it's how they're operating the offense when they possess the football, how quickly they're running plays, not necessarily how many plays they can stack up over the course of 4 quarters.
And this is that kind of situation when you go real fast. You face 3rd down and 12. Things can get out of hand on you in a hurry. Tony Stevens with the catch there. He'll pick up a couple of yards back to the original line of scrimmage, but now you're in a punting situation. And they will punt today. They will bring out the snapper and the punter, and they'll just punt it away. Obviously, nobody else out on the field. Kevin Phillips will punt it away. Marcus Davis, who claimed toward the end of spring that he will be the return man. Now, we don't know that for sure, but he certainly made his case for it. Let's go. And so now the blue team will bring out their offense.
As you mentioned earlier, Dave, the blue team consists largely of what are thought to be the first team guys coming out of spring practice. See big Braden Smith, and it looks Sean White will take the first snaps for the #1 offense. Obviously the #1 defense taking the field versus John Franklin III to open up this game.
Sean White, 6 feet, 200 pounds, sophomore out of Boca Raton, Florida, the red shirt sophomore. Inside handoff. Devon Robinson with that carry. Robinson will pick up 6. Blue team mainly loaded with those first teamers. Devereaux Lawrence with the tackle for the white team. They'll go fast again, inside handoff. Robinson again picks up 3. Now you're looking at 3rd down and short.
You hear that emphasis even on the field. The coaches, some of the players even talking about hurry, hurry to reset, get over the football so they can snap.
Robinson, did he get enough for the first down? He may not have. Maurice Swain, the first one there.
Maybe important to note, reshuffled offensive line. Austin Golson, number 73, working against Maurice Swain, and a little bit of miscommunication there at the edge. Big number 90 there to swallow up Robinson as he tried to find a cutback lane. In short yard situation, just bury your head, try to pick up the yardage, and that time Swain there to deny him that, to be able to convert.
Ian Shannon punched that one away. So a couple of possessions and a couple of punts. When we come back, we'll see if JF3 comes back on the field. Back in a moment. Well, we've got an outstanding baseball doubleheader for you tomorrow afternoon. It all gets started 1 o'clock Eastern time. Arkansas and Ole Miss, number 21 against number 15. And then at 4 Eastern, how about Mississippi State and Florida, number 10 versus number 1. Ole Miss needed a win in a big way. Got it in game 1 last night. Florida at home knocked off Mississippi State last night. Both games right here on the SEC ESPN network, also streaming live on Watch ESPN. Second time around for John Franklin III on offense. Handoff, Malik Miller, the freshman out of Huntsville, Alabama. Malik, an early enrollee, a 4-star out of Huntsville's Madison Academy.
Good size back. They like how he gets downhill quickly. The guy that can give him some of that power running between the tackles that they cover.
Going quick again, little shoulder fake. Quarterbacks not live today, however. Probably good news for Franklin, because simply John has been live in most of the scrimmages. They wanted to see what he was all about.
Yeah, well, you know, when you're a running quarterback, it's hard to tell if it's patty cake the whole time. How many yards does this guy really pick up?
Coming near side, Franklin. They're going to say flag in the backfield.
That play was dead before it got started. Montrevious Adams, big number 1 in the middle of that defensive front.
Holding, number 32 offense. Penalties decline. The play results in a 4th down.
He exploded upfield quickly. That's something that they're looking for out of this defensive line. They're going to need it because their second level is a little bit questionable. You see there, number 1 splitting what should have been work between the center and the right guard. Montrevious Adams is one of those guys. Got plenty of quickness to backdoor those reach blocks.
That Punt by Phillips, taken at the 31-yard line by Stephen Roberts. And let's see who comes out to play quarterback this time for the blue team. And Sean White making a second appearance. Both offenses a little bit sluggish. You see Sean White's numbers. Came on to replace Jeremy Johnson last year. Auburn fans very familiar with that because Johnson just out of the gates just didn't have it. Interceptions were his downfall. Really settled down the second half of the season. Deep down the middle. Passes there. Caught by Davis. And there's a deep ball that Auburn's been working on this spring.
And the explosive plays that they've been looking for. Something they lacked a season ago. Excellent pass from Sean White. That's one of the things that he's rather sensitive about. He likes his arm strength, can make every throw on the field.
Quick throw out to the far side. Pass is caught by Ryan Davis. Pickup of 9.
This is where it's so deadly, Dave. You get a big shot, an explosive play, and then when you're able to pace, get over the football and snap it quickly, the defense is on its heels.
Boy, White bobbles the football, may have lost it. I think the white team has it, and they do.
Double-edged sword.
Well, you talked to Rhett Lashley. You ask him the 3 things he wants to see from his offense. He says, number 1, protect the football, and there you go. A miscue gives it right back after a big 40-yard pickup.
You see White, as he's receiving the football, the most important pass of any play is that snap. And you could see Sean White, he was checking the backside. It looked as if maybe they were going to run either play action or roll him to the right. Took his eyes off of that ball. The snap was right there on target. But there's a microcosm of what the coaches are looking for offensively. They want to see explosive plays. They need a playmaker at the quarterback position, but they also need a quarterback that will protect the football.
Malik Miller gets another carry, picks up 6. We saw Malik Miller with a hold on that last possession by the White. He was holding 55 Carl Lawson. I don't think he was blocking guys like him in high school.
No, I'm confident that's not the case.
Right.
There's not many built like Carl Lawson.
Hit at the 25, falls forward, maybe a half a yard. Hit by Trey Williams, and Trey Williams, that linebacker in the middle. Boy, he's going to be a focal point. Linebackers probably, if you look at the defense as a whole, and there's some guys not playing due to some injuries, but that's the question mark defensively for Auburn.
That's what they need. They talk about wanting to develop depth along the defensive line. They're really just looking for some frontline players at that linebacking position. They've purged a lot of tackles. Casanova McKenzie, Chris Frost, Justin Garrett. As you see Malik Miller limping off the football field after that last snap. They need somebody to step up around Trey Williams.
Delay handoff. Nothing happening there as Montravius Adams gets in there in a hurry for that blue team and forces another punting situation.
They can be very active with this defensive front. That time they ran a stunt. You don't see a lot of activity in these spring games. But you can see just how athletic this defensive line is, not only in pass downs, but also in run support, and that time collapsing back inside to make the tackle.
Another punt. Davis makes the catch. Not a whole lot of first downs in this one. Just one, and that came on a 40-yard pass down the field from Sean White to Marcus Davis. And then the ensuing fumble. But Gus Malzahn said he wanted pace, 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 and we have certainly seen that. And now our first look at Jeremy Johnson. Started 7 games last year. Completed 61% of his passes, 7 interceptions, 10 touchdowns. And really had his confidence shaken midway through the season, but I think got it back toward the end. First pass is caught at the 30-yard line. Not much of a gain, maybe a yard. That one went to Rock Thomas, the junior running back out of Oxford, Alabama.
Jeremy Johnson got his confidence back when they were able to kind of salvage it. They took him out of the lineup. They said, look, we could see things were going the wrong direction. 6 picks in 3 games. probably need to make a change anyway. Sean White stepped in ably, but Jeremy Johnson was forced back into service due to the injury that White sustained and played well.
Pump fakes and then airmails it into the sidelines looking for Ryan Davis. And certainly this has turned into a three-man competition. And talking to Rhett Lashley about it, it is a heated competition, and that's what he wants. He said he's going to be honest and upfront with these guys throughout the competition, but it is wide open between Johnson White and John Franklin III.
And Coach Lashley, you know, he likes the position that they're in as far as where his quarterbacks are at this stage in their development. But they're going to want clarity sooner rather than later.
Davis couldn't catch up with the Jeremy Johnson pass.
We were meeting with Coach Lashley yesterday, and he was talking about the deep ball and how important that is. And all three of these quarterbacks, they're all going to be compared to Nick Marshall. You know, that was the guy that got this program immediately back on its feet into the national championship game, and that was one of the things that Nick Marshall did very, very well, was throw the deep ball, had a natural feel for it. You can see there on the overthrow on a clean pocket for Jeremy Johnson. That was the other piece of it too. Jeremy Johnson needs to be more confident in the pocket, needs to stand tall, don't look at the rush. You know, John Franklin III, he's got to get a better feel for the read option game and the mesh. You know, Sean White's one of those guys where take what the defense gives you, demonstrate your arm, but protect the football. Has had some durability issues. All three of these guys have their aspects or elements of their game that needs to be addressed before Auburn's going to have their answer at the quarterback spot.
We have seen 6 punts in this game. Sean White now playing quarterback for the White team. Pickup of 2 on that catch.
Nice read and reaction by Darrell Williams that time. One of the names that they're expecting to step up to complement Trey Williams as one of those 2 inside linebacking positions. Largely a 4-2-5 defense.
That handoff goes to C.J. Tolbert, a sophomore out of Dadeville, Alabama. And a flag comes in late.
Interest was tackled that time by Marlon Davidson. He's one of those early enrollees. They're really high on what he brings.
After the play was over, personal foul, number 23 defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
It's old Jonathan Ford, who led the team in tackles last year with 118. Getting a little frisky.
I'll tell you what, it's really personal when you get a personal foul in a game against your teammates. And that's extra personal. That's something that you can hash out in the locker room later on. You'll see that very often.
That handoff goes to Tolbert again. He picks up 4. Darrell Williams, linebacker, the sophomore out of Hoover, Alabama, comes in to make the play.
You know, Dave, something to keep an eye on is this interior run defense. You know, everybody's going to talk about the defense need to be improved. This defensive line's good, should be stout. Can they keep their pads low? Can they maintain that line of scrimmage without giving up push?
Tolbert wide open. Pass is caught near midfield. They'll spot it into blue territory at the 45. That's a 20-yard pickup.
You see that time, Darrell Williams, he just loses track of Tolbert out of the backfield. You can see Trey Williams gesturing, pointing at him. Number 49 just lost track of his assignment in pass coverage.
Boy, Tolbert getting a good workout today on this possession. Picks up 4. As the pace of play offensively has certainly dramatically increased from a year ago. Trey Williams in on that tackle.
And Tolbert's going to get his touches. They move Chandler Cox, even Cameron Petway. Typically H-backs. They've taken some snaps at tailback this spring. They carry on Johnson due to injury.
And White will be touched by Carl Lawson, who picks up the sack. And there is the young man playing his first spring game. And he is on a mission. I mean, the last 2 years have been physically a disappointment for him.
Well, you see a guy who kind of flashes his freshman year, that national championship year, then injures his knee. incapable of coming back. Misses that 8A. Never played in an 8A, as you mentioned, Dave. The offensive coordinator in the conference is curious to see what number 55 is going to look like. Because if it's anything like the beginning of the season last year, they're terrified. Because he is a demon. He spends all his time in the offensive backfield.
Trying to set up a screen, and nothing's doing because the blue team all over it. Montravius Adams putting some pressure on the quarterback. But Carl Lawson
There's no foul for intentional grounding. There was an eligible receiver in the area.
Steele, the
4th down.
Defensive coordinator, said that he has a pro mentality in his preparation right now.
You look at him, and physically, he's not the biggest as far as a true defensive end, but as a rush end, an outside linebacker, he's got everything that you're looking for. And he holds his own versus the run when he's setting the point of attack, setting that edge with his hand on the ground. So not the longest guy in the world, but his mentality, his approach is everything that you're looking for in a defensive player. Kevin Steele's been around some great ones. He coached on a national title team at Nebraska, Clemson, coached linebackers at Alabama in national title years. This past season at LSU, he's been around. He even spent time in the pros. He knows what it looks like.
Interesting talking to him. He's 30-plus years in the business, and he said he was getting kind of frustrated trying to coach up the young people today. He said he kind of had to reevaluate how he coached. There goes Chandler Cox. It's a foot race. He's to the 30, to the 20, and chased down around the 10. We should see a lot of Chandler Cox and Cameron Pedway in the coming season. The two hybrid fullbacks, halfbacks, maybe some tailback in their future.
I'll tell you what, he did a great job of setting up that run, allowed Alex Kozan to lead up into the hole, pulling from his left guard position.
Quick snap again goes to Chandler Cox.
Same play, the opposite direction. We see this already from the blue team. Earlier, it was a big pass to Marcus Davis, a 40-yarder. This time, Chandler Cox getting it done on the ground, and we asked him, is this real? Or is this just kind of a stopgap because you're light at the tailback position? He said, no, we've got some guys that have gotten carries. They ran the football in high school. They're not just blockers.
71-yard carry followed by a 2-yard jaunt by Cox, the sophomore from Apopka, Florida. Ball is loose again. This time, though, Johnson able to fall on it. The same scenario happened a moment ago with Sean White. Big play, and then 2 plays later, puts it on the turf.
Yeah, this one, the ball's on the ground for different reasons. You see him, he handles the snap cleanly. But as we mentioned, Chandler Cox, typically an H-back. And that mesh point, you see the quarterback's eyes is on the defense. The running back's job is to come to the football. And that time, difficulty determining who was supposed to end up with it.
Good throw to the end zone, incomplete.
At that time, it looked like Marcus Davis, Jeremy Johnson on 2 different pages. You see Jeremy Johnson gesturing over to Davis. Davis throwing his hands up in there. It looked like he was expecting a back shoulder to the pylon. And Jeremy Johnson was expecting him to cross that defender's face. We saw that a couple of different times early on in the season last year. Receiver and quarterback not quite in sync.
Daniel Carlson, what a great year he had last year. A Lou Groza Award finalist, All-SEC performer. Was 23 out of 27. Hit that one from 25, and it's good. Back to Auburn after this.
Welcome back to the Plains for a day, and I've got Gus Malzahn here. The offense got up on the board. We've seen a couple of explosive plays out of your offense. What's your assessment in the first quarter?
Yeah, there was a couple explosives. You got to put a drive together. I mean, the defense is playing very well. The only thing is the mishaps on the exchanges. That's really the big thing. Cost the offense the points, but our defense is playing outstanding right now.
And we've also seen all 3 quarterbacks take snaps. What is the one thing that's the takeaway from their possessions?
Well, the big thing was manage the offense, protect the football. And that's really what we're looking for. We're rotating all 3 of them with the 1s and the 2s and just trying to give them an opportunity to show what they can do.
All right, thanks for your time, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Well, if you're one of those quarterbacks, you want to make sure you don't face number 55 a lot. That is Carl Lawson. And on this drive spotlight, we will take a look at the defense. And you see where they were last year. And Stentz, those are not good numbers.
No, there's a lot of room for improvement there. And really, the missing ingredient is that guy right there, number 55. It's just, he is a difference maker. And you talk about your best players making all the players around them better. He's that type of a talent.
And there he is, in on the play, 55 in our box there. Carl Lawson coming in, crashing from his defensive end position. He is, as you said, maybe not the biggest guy, but he is certainly strong, fast, quick, explosive, and has that motor that just doesn't stop.
Yeah, like on a backside play. You know, he's a stand-up in, closing all the way down. You see, that's what you want to have from an edge player, a guy who's playing on one end of the line of scrimmage, but you know you can get production from him when the play goes opposite of where he's lined up. We talk about the linebacking position. One of the things that great defensive linemen demand are double teams. Montravius Adams, Carl Lawson, these offensive linemen have to spend time on the down line. That's going to help that linebacking play find its footing this season.
Tolbert made Lawson miss on that play. And as you and I were talking about earlier, there have been some tackles, good tackles, that have departed in this conference, as Lawson maybe a little too quick here.
I'll tell you what, that's the best thing you'd want, though, to make a running back redirect in the backfield, close that quickly. Montravius Adams also doing a good job of getting upfield penetration.
He'll go to the wide side, pass is caught. Griffin King makes the catch, but he's going to have some opportunities against some tackles that haven't seen him.
No question. You know, you look at the schedule and the way it lays out for Carl Lawson. We mentioned how limited he's been the past two seasons. We just saw him a little bit versus Louisville when he was actually healthy. Missed all of 2014. What does it look like with 12 games out of number 55?
Well, if you're Gus Malzahn, that's the plan. You hope to see 55 out there for an entire season. First quarter's in the books. Blue team's leading by 3. Back after this. Having a good time at Jordan-Hare Stadium as we wrap up the 2016 spring season here at Auburn. Look at the defensive line, and boy, this might be the deepest position for the Tigers, Stitch.
No question. And they need them to be deep, and they need them to be productive. There's so much talent up front that helps the rest of that defense all the way through the back end at safety.
Sean White will be whistled down. He thought he had the move to get past the defender. Picks up a yard. Darrell Williams touched him. See, and right now the defensive guy's saying, well, we'll go live if you want to go live, Sean.
That's exactly right. It's just to drive you nuts. Even as an offensive lineman, because those D linemen are like, oh, I would have sacked him. Come on, you barely nicked his jersey.
There's Carl Lawson. We'll keep an eye on him in our spotlight, as he is such a big factor. And talking to Kevin Steele, Montravius Adams could line up next to him. And what does that do for Lawson, having a big guy like Adams next to him?
Well, you know, Adams lined up inside. You know, the closest route to that quarterback is at those inside tackle positions. So they have to make sure they're sound inside out in their protection. That means double teams on number 1. And if he's playing hard, he demands a double team. But that also means less attention for number 55 off the edge. And it's right here. I mean, who does that look like? If you're an Auburn fan, that looks like Nick Fairley. That's a guy splitting double teams, disrupting offensive rhythm, and it opens up opportunities not only for Carl Lawson, but also those double teams. Those linemen have to stick on them longer. Their linebackers are able to get downhill quicker.
Pass is called down around the 20-yard line by C.J. Tolbert, who is showing quite well here in the first half. A pickup of 22 yards.
You know, so it looks pretty, but see number 30 coming free. I'm not so sure if he gets that ball off cleanly, especially when he's blitzing from his thrower hand side. Regardless, nice touch on that football.
And off to Tolbert, hit by Carl Lawson, loss of a yard.
You know, you look at him, he's just one of those guys where also opposite him, Marlon Davidson, when you've got a guy that can also hold his end of the bargain, you start asking offenses which way you're going to slide protection and try to help, it's obviously going to go to number 55 if they can.
Marlon Davidson right there making a play on the opposite end. And Marlon, number 3 in blue, is the youngster who enrolled early, a 4-star out of Greenville, Alabama. 6'3", 280-pounder. And Kevin Steele says that he is not just physically ready to play, but he is emotionally ready to handle this.
Yeah, you know, a lot of times these young guys, they get really, really high, get really, really low. Inconsistent play. Realizing this is not a high school all-star game. All these guys are on scholarship for a reason. If he can handle that, if he can handle Rodney Gardner's coaching, without getting too emotional, you can handle anything.
Right. Coach Gardner is known to get after his troops a little bit, put his thumb on them, if you will.
That's right, among other body parts.
Incomplete in the end zone. Looking for Tony Stevens. Now it's 4th down and 8. They'll bring out the field goal unit. Daniel Carlson again, this one from 35. He hit from 25 just moments ago. Hit 85% of his field goals last year. And this one is good. So Carlson has been asked to kick the football a couple of times and has been up to the task as he has tied this one at 3 with 9:14 to go in the second quarter. Well, we have more football coming up next. We'll get you out to College Station, Texas. More SEC spring football presented by Regions Bank. It's also streaming live on Watch ESPN and on the ESPN app. Now, we're talking quarterbacks here, and we're also going to be talking some quarterbacks out at Texas A&M as well. Of course, some issues at the end of last year. A couple of guys transferred out. They get one big transfer coming in.
Everybody transferred out. I mean, by the time it was over, there's no one left. But Trevor Knight coming into that program, who looks like he's next in what has become a revolving door at that quarterback position in a system that you would think quarterbacks would love to stick and stay in.
John Franklin III with a handoff. Robinson, big hole to the 40. It's a foot race down to the 10, and he is tripped up there by Boston.
Number 29, Javon.
A read option play in the offensive backfield. The first snaps that we've seen for Franklin. Look at the hole in the middle of the defense. And what a lot of times these quarterback read options do is it splits the defense in half. I think Franklin's such a threat as a runner. These are the first snaps we've seen him take with the ones. And right off the bat, you see a big explosive play. We've seen explosive plays with the other quarterbacks in, of course. One a pass and one a run. And a big run ripped off right away with Javon Robinson at a read option.
55-yard run by Robinson. Now he'll try to turn the corner, and he is met there.
Robinson around left end.
Maybe a yard. Atkinson comes in to make the play. Now it's 3rd down and goal from about the 8-yard line. John Franklin III. Split time in junior college last year. To the end zone, high throw, it's incomplete. Looking for Marcus Davis. Michael Sherwood on the coverage, the junior corner out of Riverdale, Georgia.
And we heard from Coach Malzahn after the quarter. They're pleased with the way the defense is playing, like some of the explosive plays, but he wants a drive put together. That doesn't necessarily mean a methodical 5, 3, 4 yards at a time, but finishing off a drive on the heels of a big explosive play. And every time the offense has stalled out in the red zone.
Carlson is good again. He's 3 out of 3, 2 from 25, 1 from 33. Gus Malzahn has seen the Blue go up 6-3, 7:57 to go, second quarter. It has been all field goals so far in this Auburn spring football game, 2016 edition, second quarter. Dave Neal alongside Matt Stinchcomb. Maria Taylor down on the field. Literally, she has been on the field today. Good thing she's quick, agile, former athlete. I might get hurt if I was down there.
Here comes tempo, big plays, man. She's covering a lot of ground.
I know. Jeremy Johnson coming on the field. Jeremy Johnson, the senior out of Montgomery, Alabama. Coach has said he had to put on blinders. And, well, he went through it last year, the gauntlet. a tough time, but coaches said he responded well from an emotional standpoint. Handoff, and that did not go well. Ryan Davis on a little sweep, hit by Paul James III, and here's a guy that's transferred in from Cobia Lincoln Community College, making a big play in the backfield.
Just blows right upfield. Does an excellent job seeing that fly sweep action, which is what split the defense on the big run for Javon Robinson on the previous possession for the blue team. That time, Paul James, not fooled, got upfield quickly for a big negative yardage tackle for loss.
Brock Thomas with a spin move, gets it out to the 39, picks up 9 yards. Paul James, one of those guys that transferred in. They needed some linebacker help, able to get him. Coming off 47 tackles, had 14 sacks, 22 tackles behind the line in junior college. Said he could be a pass rush specialist on that defense. Came here, good friends with Carlton Davis from that Miami area. Carlton, by the way, not playing today. Hurt his finger, might have broken a finger right at the end of spring ball. Here's Johnson being chased down, and he is tapped by Jonathan Ford. Jonathan in the backfield, defensive backfield, without his buddy Carlton Davis. Trey Matthews not playing today, not participating in spring practice. He's had a couple of surgeries on those shoulders. There's some of those numbers from that Auburn defense last year. Tackles for loss, 125th out of 127 teams. I have a feeling those numbers might be a little different in 2016.
You get Carl Lawson back. You get a Paul James, a third, contributing the way he just did. You know, the charges of that man, Rodney Garner, former defensive lineman, converted to offensive line here at Auburn, back at his alma mater. He sees some great defensive linemen in his time. And he says this is one of the more talented groups. You know, he's looking at this squad that he has to work with the guys up front. Not only the frontline players, but the depth. Because we've seen that the other defensive line, the guys that are lined up with this white team as the blue team has been able to stage drives. If that defensive front gets in the red zone, they're bowing their neck and slowing them down. Devereaux Lawrence, Murray Swain, we've already mentioned their names. There's some playmakers along that front.
Cameron Petway gets the football, picks up a yard. Auburn defensively last year gave up 26 points a game. That was 11th in the conference, 54th in the country.
Yeah, it's just the third down number is what's really disturbing. If you look at it from Kevin Steele's standpoint, as Cameron Petway just punishes his way to a first down. So far, the H-backs have looked great in this one, Dave, as ball carriers. Number 36, we've seen Chandler Cox rip off a big one, and they talked about these guys can be great downhill runners. You think anybody's getting in line to take those shots? Markel Boston on the receiving end of that one.
Take the handoff to Petway. Here's Franklin coming near side. We'll throw it to Petway, and he's hit at the 40 and stopped there. No gain on the play, but coaches weren't kidding when they said that they were going to use Chandler Cox and Cameron Petway. They just kind of threw them out there in the backfield as tailbacks, but they said, you know what, that's a spot we're going to try to kind of force feed them throughout the regular season this year.
Well, we've seen it already in this game. You see John Franklin managing the pocket, something that they want to see more of out of him. They saw in scrimmages. He ripped off a couple of nice runs. One of them, though, was when he should have stayed in the pocket and delivered the ball.
Petway wasn't ready for the football as Franklin got rid of it a little too early.
That time just ran out of time. Looked like Antoine Jackson got in there rather quickly. Had to deliver the football before Petway could get his head around.
John Franklin III at quarterback, started his career in college at Florida State for a couple of seasons, redshirted, played just a little bit as a sophomore. Realized that wasn't the place for him, transferred to junior college, now makes his way here as he goes down the field. Interesting that when Florida State was getting ready to play Auburn in a national championship game, he played the role of Nick Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, this should be very familiar. Last time he was doing this, he was preparing the Seminole defense for what they would ultimately see in that game. And he made his way over here to Auburn, and as we've mentioned, you don't bring these JUCO guys in to sit. You bring them into play. And we've seen it work very, very well here for Auburn offensively, especially at quarterback.
We'll step aside with 4:46 to go, second quarter, here in Auburn, Alabama.
Daddy, you done yet?
One last screw, sweetie, and we're done.
Very sweet. You deserve the sweet reward of a Diet Dr. Pepper.
I do?
You built this big old house with that tiny tool.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Oh.
That is sweet.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the game's about to start.
That's my ride.
Is that our cat?
Step on it. Real sweet. Diet Dr. Pepper. It's the sweet one.
The blue team, which is mainly made up of first-teamers, leading the white team 6-3. In this drive spotlight, we will focus on the quarterback because of this zone read style of offense by Gus Malzahn. The quarterback certainly has to get it done on the ground. And Stinch, look at that graph and explain to me the importance of some of those numbers.
Well, I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? You know, you get big contribution from that quarterback spot in the run game, and you're knocking on the door of a national title, if not going home with the trophy. They did 2010, 2013, even 2014, we're around 800 rushing yards out of that quarterback position. Then last year, running at 180. That's just not going to cut it. That harkens back to the very first year Gus Malzahn was on the Plains calling plays back in 2009.
Rock Thomas spun around. Rudy Ford will lead the charge, loss of a couple of yards.
A lot of happens in this backfield, and the mesh point is where the quarterback and that running back are exchanging the football. Not always will the running back obviously end up with it, although in a spring game, your quarterback's in an orange jersey. Now, how much of a look are you really going to get if your quarterback's pulling the football, but you want him to make the right reads. Jeremy Johnson was a guy who's demonstrated ability to run, but did not run the read option very well last season.
Rock Johnson hit again by Darrell Williams, picks up a yard. Coaches felt that maybe he turned the corner a little bit in the bowl game against Memphis, running that little read game.
A little bit. What they wanted to get is downhill.
Right.
You know, he's just a different runner. Nick Marshall was such a fast guy. Get him out on the perimeter. But Jeremy Johnson, from a stature standpoint, he's more like Cam Newton. He's more of a big body. Slam it up in there, get the yards that you can. You cannot afford to go laterally. And that's something that they've seen in scrimmages. Where Jeremy Johnson's got to show a little bit of toughness, a little bit more physical in his runs.
Oh, the blue team wanted the sack, didn't get it. John Broussard, another one of those youngsters that enrolled early. The four-star cornerback. Thought he tapped him. Let's see. Did he? Watch 26 in blue.
You see him flashing right inside.
Oh, yeah, he got him.
Yeah, that should have been down on the 4-yard line.
Regardless, fourth down. I'm sure he'll bring that up. But Broussard, 5'11", 163, small guy. Slide, but coaches say they love his work ethic.
He's a guy that they're going to expect to probably contribute at some point in time. They like what they've got at the cornerback position. You got Carlton Davis, who, as you mentioned, is not out there today. A big, long guy, young still in his career. But John Broussard, one of those guys, another early enrollee, he and Marlon Davidson. You see some of these defenders, they're making names for themselves in the spring, and you can tell that it's a new day. Kevin Steele's the new defensive coordinator. He's giving guys some looks. Marlon Davidson, you know, he's taking the snaps opposite Carl Lawson as a starter with this blue team. This guy should still be in high. He should be getting ready for prom. Instead, he's lining up as a starting defensive end for this Auburn defense in the spring game.
Well, here is Sean White back in at quarterback, 6 of 8, 110 yards. He will hand it off. Robinson will pick up 7 yards on that carry. Closing in on 2.5 minutes to go, second quarter. Robinson again, just behind that big offensive line. He'll pick up 4 and has enough for the first down. Not a whole lot of time to check off if you're a quarterback. It's just get the play and go.
That's right. And, you know, you look at it, it's so difficult for a defense because there's a lot that happens in this offensive backfield. You talk to defensive coordinators, defensive players that face Auburn, and it's a blur. Not only are they seeing a lot of plays at a quick pace, but there's so much ball handling. You don't always know who's going to end up with the football. I will say, the carries that we've seen out of Javon Robinson, you know, it's just more of what we saw at the back end of the season. He played great versus A&M. He was the MVP versus Memphis in the bowl game. He's run the football well so far here today.
Or a missed tackle on the far side allows Jason Smith to pick up another first down. Gets it inside the white 40-yard line. Picks up 14 more yards. Boy, when they said they were going to pick up the pace, Gus Malzahn wasn't kidding.
It's been an emphasis in practices. We were able to go to a practice a couple of weeks ago. And there's actually multiple times during the practice, they'll be in drill periods, sometimes individual broken out. And then they'll come over the loudspeaker, Coach Malzahn, with a recorded pace alert. And they'll all assemble, and they'll run 4 or 5 snaps in a row real quickly. Forces the defense to respond to a quick change, and it forces the offense to get out there and execute quickly.
Sean White, plenty of time to throw down the middle, and that one is incomplete. He was looking for Jason Smith.
Well, that's what this offense needs to be. You see that on a post pattern. That time, Jason Smith, that ball overthrown. We've seen Rock Thomas split out. He's got a couple of touches at running back. They're looking for guys that can get downfield and stretch a defense because they're a power run offense, and they're going to demand attention to that tackle box to defend the run, and then they want to hit you over top of the play action pass deep.
Sean White going to the far side. That one is picked off and then dropped. That should have been an interception for the White team. Tony Stevens was the intended target, but T.J. Davis just flat out dropped it. Davis, the senior out of Tallahassee's Godby High School.
A clean pocket to work in. Can step into the throw, and Tony Stevens, you see there, that time end up double covered because Davis is underneath. He bracketed in coverage. We're talking about protecting the football, and so far, John Franklin has been the one that's been the most secure with the ball.
From 52 yards out, how about Carlson? He's hit 4 out of 4. His career long here at Auburn for the junior is 56 yards. And he hits a bullet from 52 yards away. And it's a 9-3 lead for the Blue. Hey, tonight at 11 o'clock Eastern on the SEC ESPN Network, be sure to join our network analysts as they discuss all the SEC news of the day on SEC Now. It's streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. 53 seconds to go before halftime. And here is John Franklin III back on.
First and 10 from the 35.
Rock Thomas in the backfield. That pass is caught by Marcus Davis, and he is hit immediately, a loss of 2, and Montravius Adams at 295 pounds. Put him on the turf in a hurry.
Yeah, I've seen him in the backfield a lot today. You like what you've seen out of number 1 so far. Got a little high on a couple of snaps. His ability to penetrate is a game changer. This is great situational football, incidentally. You get John Franklin out there right here at the end of the half, get a little 2-minute drill action going, operating out of an empty backfield. You can see the versatility of Rock Thomas, number 9. This is what they want him to be able to do. Not only line up in the backfield, but we've seen him line up in the slot as well as a receiver.
There's Griffin King, a redshirt freshman out of Atlanta, went to the Marist School with back-to-back catches.
Gain is 9 yards. Second down 1.
Ball sits at the Blue 44-yard line with 26 seconds. Boy, offensive line staying put, flag down, and see if they don't get a free 5 out of that.
I like that right there. 2-minute drill.
Offside, number 1, defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot results in a first down.
You don't see that a lot in the 2-minute drill, but when you've got a chance to regroup, I don't know if he caught him with a hard count or if they were just late with the snap on that second team. I don't know if Caleb Kim was a little bit late with that ball or not. Either way, a free 5 yards.
Franklin going up top. Pass is caught at the 5 and taken into the end zone by Marcus Davis from 40 yards away. Franklin was throwing it straight into the wind, and it held up for Davis. Just enough for him to beat the defender and pick up the touchdown.
You know, I like this play a lot. You could say the ball's underthrown. It's in jeopardy. Perhaps Javaris Davis, if he plays it better, it's a pick going the other way. But there was pressure in John Franklin's face. He stood in there, managed the pocket, just slid a little bit to his left to buy time, and then gives his receiver a chance to adjust to the ball in the air. Coach Lashley mentioned that, Dave, in our meetings. You know, give the receiver a chance sometimes. Don't just chuck it down there like you're a jugs machine.
The scoring drive, number 65 yards and 4 delays.
Well, questions about who would be the go-to receiver. Would it be Marcus Davis? He's played in 40 games in his career for Auburn. Last year coming off 30 receptions, 1 touchdown in his career, 66 grabs. Would he be the go-to guy? And certainly they recruited heavily to that position and got some great players. Nate Craig Myers, a guy at Tampa Catholic High School, they think can be another one of those guys. Eli Stove, an outstanding receiver. Marquise McClain, a guy they expect to be a factor. Kyle Davis, who enrolled early, just not playing today. But there's no doubt somebody, multiple people have to step up at wide receiver. A little razzle-dazzle. They'll toss it to Jason Smith. He turns the corner. Jason Smith gets stood up out of bounds, and a flag comes in. Looks like Markel Boston over there.
Oh, man, I tell you what, these guys are getting after a second personal foul we've seen. These guys, it means something to them. You know, you look at it, some of these second teamers trying to make a name for themselves.
After the runner was out of bounds, personal foul, number 11, defense. 15-yard penalty added to the end of the run, first down.
You see the end around to Jason Smith. They opened the game. A similar play. Getting the ball to Jason Smith early. And you can see him, he's clearly out of bounds. Everybody's out of bounds. Boston's standing out of bounds. Boston's probably trying to make up for the time when he got run over by Cameron Petway earlier in this first half.
Well, the wind is at his back. Carlson has hit from 25 twice, 33 and 52. This from 55.
Tyler Stovall to hold.
Plenty of leg.
Wow.
This guy is automatic.
Is there a tractor beam in that huge scoreboard over there? Just pulling that ball through the uprights.
What a half by the junior out of Colorado Springs.
It was an interesting half, Dave, because you look at it, you get a couple of explosive plays. From a turnover standpoint, protecting the football. Offensively, you got to be concerned. Defensively, we mentioned the third downs had to be better. It can't be any better than what we saw. They held the offense over on third down the first half.
All right, let's go down. And Maria has caught up with Coach Gus Malzahn.
Coach, you wanted to see your offense complete a drive, and we saw a touchdown pass to close out the second quarter. What did you see on the play?
Yeah, that was good to see right there. Bought itself a little time, and Marcus Davis made a really good adjustment on the ball. But our defense is playing outstanding. They're flying around, they're tackling well, and they're making the offense earn it.
What are the adjustments you'd like to see the offense continue to do as you search for that tempo that you've been implementing all spring long?
Yeah, I think get first downs, and of course you need to do a better job of not kicking field goals. We got one of the best field goal kickers in college football. He's proven it again today. It's windy as all get out, and he's drilling it. But just get the ball in the end zone.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Maria. When we come back, Maria will take a ride in his fancy new car. You won't want to miss that. That'll be coming up on our halftime report. Stay with us. White team leads the blue by 1 at the break.
It's halftime in Auburn, Alabama for the annual spring game. And I had a chance to spend a little time with Gus Malzahn off the field and actually inside of a BMW i8, which is a sports car and the very first fast car he's ever driven. Auburn Fast has absolutely nothing on the car that Gus is whipping all throughout Auburn, Alabama. Take a look.
Tell me how fast this thing can go.
Yeah, they say 160 on the governor, but I think it'll go faster if you took it off.
That's about the fastest you've ever driven.
I'm not going to say. It's not that fast.
So the first car you ever had was a what?
I had a, golly, what was that? An Oldsmobile, a four-door, prehistoric. It was terrible.
Okay, so the correlation everyone likes to make between your sports car is your fast and low offense.
Yeah. Hey, fast.
Is that why you had the urge to get this car?
Yeah, we like to do everything fast.
Exactly.
There's no doubt. So this kind of just complemented that. I'm not a big fast driver, but I like a fast car.
When you go for a recruit, you look for certain things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you go for your first sports car, you must have had certain things on your mind.
Yeah, you know, I just wanted something unique. I wanted something fast. And, you know, if you can get a sports car, get a sports car. So that was kind of on my mind, and so that's how we got going about this. And when I saw it in person, I said, yeah, I've got to get that.
Would you die if I drove a block?
No, it wouldn't bother me.
Can I drive for it?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
we can definitely do that.
Let's make a switch.
Now, you like to go fast, so.
I do. Well, you know, I'm going to let you tell me when I'm going too fast. You just put up your hands.
All right, we're going to get on it just a little bit. How about that?
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, there you go. That's about halfway down now.
What did we get to?
I don't know.
We got to
I don't know. I got off of it quick.
This is a lot of trust, Coach.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
If you're going to drive it, I want you to drive it.
Okay. This is like making my life. This is the best thing that's ever happened. This is why I became a reporter. To drive BMW i8s.
Yeah.
I'm barely touching it.
Yeah.
I'm barely touching it.
I know. Yeah.
If a cop comes, will you talk to him for me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Just be like, it's not her fault.
Yeah, just...
She didn't know. She didn't know any better.
We'll let you get on it real quick and get off.
Okay.
That's probably the best thing to do.
Can I hit it here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Was that
You can do better than that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That's 50.
There you go. Okay.
You went back. Did you feel it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Who on the staff has driven the car?
You know, I don't think anybody has.
So you mean to tell me that I drove the i8 before anyone on the staff did?
Yeah, I don't know if you need to tell anybody that.
Yeah, I probably won't. I'll just keep that to myself.
Go.
And I'm happy to report that I am still the only person to have driven the i8 with Gus Malzahn. The staff is a little mad at me on the sidelines. We got plenty more coming from the A-Day, coming up from the plains of Auburn, Alabama.
You are watching SEC Spring Football. Auburn, presented by Regions Bank. Blue team leading the white team by 2 at halftime here at Jordan-Hare Stadium. And for Carl Lawson, the defensive end for the Auburn Tigers, his first spring game for the junior out of Alpharetta, Georgia. The last couple of seasons, he's been fighting through some injuries, and he is excited to get the 2016 season underway. Our own man, Matt Stinchcomb, had a chance to sit down with him to talk about what this upcoming season means to him moving forward.
Take us back to the beginning of the 2015 season and your mentality coming into the year, knowing that you'd spent, 16 months on the shelf waiting for the opportunity to play football again.
Mentality was, I can't wait to blow up this year, you know, and just become an All-American, but that didn't happen.
Well, it did for 2 quarters. I mean, we saw it. What was a sack, 2 tackles for loss, 3 cute quarterback hurries. I mean, for 2 quarters, we saw a glimpse of maybe what the entire season could have looked like. How frustrated were you knowing that you had to come out of the game, having played with that cracked hip?
It was ridiculously frustrating, and it happened on maybe like the 5th play. So from then on, I was like, I'm staying in as much as I can before, before I just got a tap out. But I wasn't coming out until I wasn't physically able to play anymore.
What do you feel like is the most important aspect of your skill set? You can do a lot of different things, but what is it that makes you a difference maker?
I feel like the combination of me being able to get off on the snap and then low center of gravity and the fact that I'm actually strong, that helps me a lot with a lot of my rushing. I might be undersized for a defensive end, but I mean, any tackle who's gone against me has never bullied me, and I've bullied them.
What can we expect from Carl Lawson this season?
You expect me to come out the gate swinging, go hard every play, and, you know, be the best player that I could possibly be.
Is that a message to Deshaun Watson in Week 1 versus Clemson?
That's a message to everybody.
That's a great comment. And Stitch, you had a chance to look him in the eye, and he's a difference maker. What do you make of him in terms of where he is among the best in the country?
I got nervous looking him in the eye, by the way.
Yeah,
as an offensive lineman.
Right.
Maybe a little squirrely. You know, it's hard to say because we haven't seen a full body of work out of him. But you're looking at a guy who's got, what, 4 or 5 sacks career, 10.5 tackles for loss career. And yet, you've seen enough from him where you know that if this guy's healthy, if he can put together 4 quarters, he is a game-changing type of a talent, and that's not just negative yardage plays. He's going to open up opportunities for other players in this defense.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch him this season if he can stay on the field.
And to think Clemson's coming here to open up the 2016 season, that'll be quite the show for the Auburn Tigers. And, you know, that'll be a national stage for Mr. Lawson to get it all started. Tell you what, there was some pretty good halftime. If Auburn's looking for a receiver, maybe they found one right there. Give him a jersey. Back in a moment. Moments away from second half football here at Jordan-Hare Stadium as the Tigers wrap up 2016 spring football game. And as we saw a bunch of field goals from Daniel Carlson in the first 24 minutes, 12-minute quarters in this game. And as we get set for the third quarter, let's go down to the field. Maria Taylor.
All right, Coach, the rules change a little bit. We got a running clock in the second half. What is the goal, or what would you like to get out of the second half?
We're going to let a lot of our 2s and our 3s play. You know, want to keep the tempo going. Defense is playing great. Keep that thing going. I just want to make sure it doesn't get sloppy and we play good, sound football. You know, one thing the guys in the booth have been talking about a lot is your defensive line, and especially Carl Lawson. What is it like to just see him in an A-Day game after him not being able to go last season? It's a good feeling he's on our team, I'll tell you that. He's an impact player and playing great.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Yeah, there is no doubt 55 can be a game changer. And with the guys that he has alongside him, as you've talked about, I mean, I think that's what's going to make him a little bit better down the road, too. He's got guys that can help him be better.
Open up his chances, too. You know, we talk about this. That's all interrelated. And Kevin Steele talked about, he wants you to affect the player that you're playing beside. You know, number 1 and number 55, you see them in that shot. Montravius Adams and Carl Lawson, when they're lined up to the same side, you can see the type of plays that they can make. Those two talents will affect not only each other, but it will affect the play of that offense. You better believe that the blocking schemes, the awareness of the ball carriers, the signal callers of the quarterback position, they're going to know, especially on third downs, where number 1 and where number 55 are lined up. Number 1's got to play more consistently. That's what they need out of him. If they can get that and a healthy number 55, it's a different looking defense from the front to the back when Auburn takes the field.
We saw those third downs, both offenses 0 for 14 combined. First play of the game as a handoff goes to Petway, and he's got a lot of room and a big collision at the 30.
Number 36, Cameron Petway.
You know, he didn't want Chandler Cox to outrush him in this game. So we've seen 2 great runs out of the H-back position. Cameron Petway showing the speed to get to the edge. Not sure that we anticipated that.
He picked up 40 yards on that carry a moment ago and picks up 5 more there. Boy, they are going big run, and they give the guy the football right back again. I mean, it's don't even give them a chance to catch their breath.
Sledgehammer. You know, it's like the boxing strategy. You know, just chop them down. Never catch their wind. He gets to the edge, take a shot to the solar plexus. Part of this is a function, I think, of Malik Miller coming out earlier in this game, a little bit dinged up. We're seeing some other carries for these, what would otherwise be the H-back position, Chandler Cox and Cameron Petway.
Running clock here in the second half. Third quarter. 12 minutes on the clock for each quarter. Jeremy Johnson getting the first go at it at quarterback. 3rd down and 5. Over the middle, pass is caught. Complete to Tony Stevens, the first 3rd down conversion of the game. And boy, that was an issue at times for Auburn last year. They were 6th in the conference in 3rd down conversions, right around 40%.
And that's the difficulty in these games. As you see Rock Thomas getting adjusted. Sounds like Gus Malzahn realigning this offensive set. Get Rock Thomas to the left side of the formation. But it's always difficult in a spring game, you know, so it's not very good for the offense. But for a defense that was 105th in the country in 3rd down conversions, and albeit this is somewhat a vanilla approach, the defense playing well and getting off the field. They've given up some explosive plays, but doing a good job in the red zone.
Johnson throws, touchdown, blue team, 8 yards away. Rock Thomas with that reception.
Well-placed ball from Jeremy Johnson. Plenty of time, nice wide pocket. And you can see what a weapon Rock Thomas can be. We talked about coming into this game, you know, a quarterback has to contribute in the run game. Usually takes a couple of games before a running back emerges, but it seems like it was Javon Robinson at the back end of last season. So Rock Thomas, who's never carried the ball more than 9 times in a game as an Auburn Tiger, you know, they're going to make him more of a hybrid slash type of a position player. He's moved around all over the offensive formation, showing great hands on that touchdown catch from Jeremy Johnson.
Good throw by Johnson, puts the Blue up 19-10, and Maria Taylor down on the sidelines, and she has caught up with a couple of former Auburn Tigers that I think represented the Tigers quite well. Maria?
Yeah, they definitely did, Dave. They were teammates. They tell me that they were roommates, so they were pretty close. Jason Campbell and Ronnie Brown. And Jason, we'll start with you. Being able to be back here in the stadium, what memories does it bring back for you?
Bring back a lot of memories, though. Just to run out of that tunnel, be able to share this moment with your teammates, and like I said, Ronnie being here and all the former guys. You know, we just all sit around, we talk about the years that we had and the great times, and you know, there's nothing like having teammates, and then nothing like building a bond as college guys, and then going on and playing pro careers, and it's just been wonderful. It's been a great opportunity, and you know, I actually miss it a lot.
All right, give me the best memory you have about Ronnie.
I believe we was playing against Georgia. We was right here on the 12-yard line, and we did a roll right pass, and I rolled out to my right, and Ronnie made a great catch, put it over his shoulder. I didn't think he could catch it, you know, being a running back. It was for a receiver, you know, but he ended up catching it. It goes to show you how good the hands that he have, and I didn't have to hear about it in the apartment later on, so, you know, things worked out great.
Well, he threw a little shade at you, Ronnie, so I'm going to give you a little bit of chance to talk back. Give me the best memory you have about Jason.
Okay, I think it started in our living room, and we had a hallway in our apartment. So I used to try to tell Jason, I'm going to teach you how to slide. I played baseball in high school, so I tried to teach him.
Second. All right, you can keep on going. Finish your story.
For some reason, I never know why he couldn't tuck his back leg to slide. So he'd always do this. You know how little kids run and they just fall on both knees? That's Jason. If you go look at the history of him sliding, I don't think he's perfected one slide.
He was just looking out for you. He wanted you to stay safe. Now, the one question I do have is Auburn fast. That's the new thing, the tempo here. What has it been like for you guys being able to see Gus Malzahn come and take over this offense?
I believe it was exciting. Everybody always look at it and think it's a passing offense, but it's really a running offense. And if you look over the years, they had a lot of success. A lot of the rushing yards and the way they was able to keep defense on their toes by coming at them full speed so fast each and every play, you know, it wears the defensive line out. And it creates opportunities for guys to get open in the passing game. So hopefully this year they can get back to that and be able to utilize their play action off a good run game.
Ronnie, what do you think you would have added to the Gus Malzahn offense if you were playing right now?
I think I would have had a great time in this offense. You know, for one, the pace. You know, you open it up, defenses aren't able to get set, and then you stay between the tackles, the straight line to the end zone. So it makes it a lot easier. And then you got a lot of guys that you can give the ball to and, you know, a lot of misdirection stuff. So it kind of keeps the defense on their heels. So I definitely would have enjoyed this. And I don't know about Jason running, but, you know, besides that, I think we would have been all right and we would have enjoyed it as a group.
I like how they throw, like, slight shade hate at each other throughout the entire interview. And I'm going to let you guys go because Jason was already rubbing his knees earlier, Dave and Stinch. He said he's getting old and he's got to get back home as soon as possible.
Oh, I love it. They start off nice, and then they kind of end with like a painful jab.
Yeah.
I know.
That's how you know they were buddies.
Yeah.
You know your boys when you can cap on the guy that you roomed with. Although Campbell's way too young to be rubbing on his knees, man. I know he got some years in the league.
Well, when you slide on your knees.
That's true. Yeah, he's abusing those knees. All that practice behind the apartment. Could you imagine Ronnie Brown, Jason Campbell, and Cadillac Williams in this offense?
Yeah,
There's
I saw
not enough footballs to go around.
They were pretty good. That was a pretty good offense that they had.
Pretty sporty. Yeah, they got it done. Undefeated. Didn't get a chance. The SEC Championship 2004 and never got a crack at that national title. Really, that was before the SEC run of dominance. You know, right when Southern Cal, Oklahoma, they were still one of the top tier programs. Auburn never got a look on that undefeated year.
Number 36, Cameron Petway.
Petway with the carry again. That'll be good enough for 10 yards right at the first down line. Let's see if they give him the first down. They'll say he is just shy, so 9.5 on that carry.
Second down.
Running clock again here in the third quarter. John Franklin the third in at quarterback. Hand it off again to Petway. And I think we're going to see quite a bit of Chandler Cox and Cameron Petway in the upcoming season. These guys have both shown that they can run the football from that tailback position. Big bruising type backs. They're both running backs in high school.
Trips. Right.
They've shown this game too, these big backs. There's some speed to get to the edge. I'm just shocked, frankly. Cameron Petway was able to capture the edge on his big run. You can imagine on short yardage, quite the option for them to get the football. You see John Franklin there, just a bad ball trying to whip it out to Rock Thomas. Behind number 9. I don't know if he was trying to clutch this football and he wanted to deliver it or not, but it came out strangely. You see him gloved, both of those hands. He's out there playing with gloves on both hands, including the throwing hand. But so far in this game, we've seen they talk about protecting the football, and Franklin says far has done a pretty good job of it.
Here's Franklin dancing around. He's forced out of bounds. They had Franklin live in 2 previous scrimmages. In one scrimmage, they had all the quarterbacks live, and then the second time around, they had Franklin live. Again, they wanted him to continue to see how he would handle the football in those situations, and something Gus Malzahn has done quite a bit as a head coach, and that is keep his quarterbacks live. Not a lot of teams will do that, but he says the way he operates, he needs to see it.
You have to, and it's not just the read option aspect of their run game, but it's also, you know, how's that quarterback going to feel and operate in the passing game with live bullets flying around it? Because this isn't 7-on-7. You know, you can look great in the warm-up laps. How do you do in a crowd? You know, this is not pat and go. We want to see if and when you can get sacked. Can you keep your eyes off the rush? Can you manage the pocket without flushing? Can you keep your eyes downfield and still deliver a strike? That's what they're looking for out of all 3 of these quarterbacks, and it's hard to simulate that if you know that that orange jersey is going to protect you.
Well, Devin Adams, who came in last series for this white team, he's a junior college out of Mississippi Delta Community College. In at quarterback. Now, he's not wearing the orange jersey, so you got to assume that maybe he is live.
With the ball carrier.
Here are the numbers on the quarterbacks today. If you had to break it down, I mean, just from my eyes, Sean White probably looked as comfortable more so than any of them.
Yeah, all but really the fumbled snap in the red zone. You can see the numbers. From a ball security standpoint, so far it would be John Franklin, and likely looks to be that will be the case. If Adams continues to get the snaps with the white team, that's what they were looking for. You know, we talk about these big explosive plays. We've seen that. You know, it's been interesting to see where those have come. You know, Javon Robinson ripped off a couple of nice long runs. Otherwise, it's come from the H-back spot. Line of a tailback.
Flag is down, and obviously Adams is available for contact as he is dropped to the turf. He was part of the 2014 recruiting class. Was considered a three-star pro-style quarterback coming out of high school in Mobile, Alabama.
Personal foul, face mask, number 90 of the defense, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, first down.
And you can see there Adams working in the pocket. And Maurice Swain got in there, got that big paw up on his face mask, turned loose quickly. We're even rotating white hats at the official spot.
Batted in the air and almost picked off and then caught.
And not looking right at your throw every time. Unbelievable.
A little coaching from Brett Lashley.
Right. How about not looking right where you're throwing it every time?
And you can see there, Jamel Dean looked like over the top. Markel Boston combining on that play. Dean's the transfer. Came down from Ohio State. They like him as well, opposite Carlton Davis at that corner spot.
Well, that'll be the end of the third quarter. Back to Jordan-Hare Stadium for the fourth quarter in a moment. See spring football, Auburn, presented by Regions Bank. We have got an unbelievable doubleheader for you tomorrow afternoon of SEC baseball. I guess every week we have unbelievable baseball in the SEC. 21st ranked Arkansas, 15th ranked Ole Miss gets it started at 1, then at 4. How about 10th ranked Mississippi State, number 1 Florida. Both games right here on the SEC ESPN network, and they're streaming live on Watch ESPN, also on the ESPN app. Doesn't get any better than right here in the SEC when it comes to college baseball. Fourth quarter football, Jordan-Hare Stadium. Running clock for the final 12 minutes. Cedric Chambers will get the carry. Cedric, the sophomore out of Valley, Alabama, 5'7", 190. A walk-on, getting his first carry of the afternoon.
He's telling me what to do.
So Stinch, is you look down at this Auburn schedule and you notice that you have Clemson to start things off September 3rd, then Arkansas State, then you run the gauntlet, Texas A&M, LSU, ULM here. Your first road game's not till October 8th, but it is a tough schedule at Mississippi State, Arkansas, at Ole Miss. I mean, you got to be ready to go right out of the gates. And with that being said, it leads me into this quarterback situation. Even if you do decide to go with a John Franklin III and in a roundabout way, what kind of impact does that schedule have, knowing that you have Clemson number 1 in how you determine your quarterback?
Right. Well, the thing is it probably forces your hand. It probably accelerates it more than you otherwise would have liked to have done. You look at Nick Marshall coming in out of the JUCO ranks, a converted DB, all the things. Didn't have the benefit of spring practice like John Franklin III will have had coming into this system. And at the same time, you don't have to kick down the doors with one of the top teams in the country, one that's returning what is likely to be a Heisman frontrunner in Deshaun Watson. That said, it also can help you focus in the offseason, during your summer camp. These players can feel that. They can feel the pressure of knowing you got to be ready to play right out of the gate. And also, you look at on the heels of that, it's not like they come up for air for very long. Ark State, team that competes well in that Sun Belt Conference. And then you've got 2 back-to-back, albeit home games, but division games versus A&M, who's got quarterback questions and defensive questions, incidentally, of their own. They've played well, Auburn has, versus the Aggies the past couple of seasons, especially this run offense gives them fits. And then on the heels of that, you got LSU. They got to be ready to go right out of the gate this season.
Ryan Davis, he's got a lot of room. A flag will come in, though. It'll be 81 yards, but a flag back at the 44-yard line.
Yeah, they're going to get Darius Slayton for a block in the back. Number 81. Ryan Davis showing his skills. So many of these receivers, converted quarterbacks that move to the wide receiver position, they covet those, like them here in this Auburn offense.
Doing the run, blocking the back, number 81 offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul, first down.
There you go. You see number 81 right there, blocking the back. Obvious, easy call. And they fake the buck sweep. And they flip it to Davis. End around. But you can see the speed, demonstrated that speed, is able to run away from the pursuit.
They'll go right back to Ryan Davis. Not a whole lot of room to run there as he is wrapped up at the 34. And it's that wide receiver group that is looking for somebody to step out. Is it Marcus Davis? He's had a couple of nice grabs today, but they've got some guys that have been around this program for a while, and they've got a pretty good crop coming in from a recruiting class that ranked top 10 nationally.
They do. Well, you're looking at a guy like a Craig Myers coming in here, one of the top recruits at his position to help bolster that spot, because you lose Ricardo Lewis, Duke Williams dismissed from the program. They were expecting big things from him a season ago. And you wonder, Melvin Ray was a guy that stepped up for him last year. But in a season where you're looking for a new quarterback, your leading rusher's gone in Peyton Barber, but you're probably okay in Javon Robinson. Kerryon Johnson gets healthy. Probably like where you are there, but the wide receiver position is probably more up in the air than it's been for Gus Malzahn coming in here. You even think back to the 2010 year where Darvin Adams, Terrell Zachary, even Cody Burns, who's now coaching that position for this offense. See Sean White throwing well behind Rock Thomas, who's going to spend time at receiver to help bolster that core. But Cody Burns has been charged with kind of changing the culture in that wide receiver room. And some of that may have been due to personalities at the player standpoint. But you look at Cody Burns and what he meant to this team as a selfless guy, switched over from quarterback, went to wide receiver in 2009 so Chris Todd could be the quarterback. Went to Ark State, was a GA, spent some time at Middle Tennessee State. Sanford was on his way to Arizona State before they snagged him, and they need him to help these wide receivers recognize that, yeah, you're going to be a deep play threat. That's the idea here, but you also have to block. You've got to attack every single play, not just when the ball's in the air. And he's got his work cut out for him, but he's got some young guys that seem more than willing to be coached, and some veteran guys that need to step up. The Tony Stevens of this world, to help the Marcus Davises. And maybe it's a Ryan Davis. Maybe it's a Jason Smith, who's been very inconsistent in his short time here at Auburn.
Devin Adams back in at quarterback for the white team. Fakes the run, throws it up, and boy, had a wide open receiver, just couldn't make the catch. It was Clay Coburn, the junior transfer from right here in Auburn.
These plays are so hard to defend, Dave. I mean, look, you're wide open, and it's this run-pass option, RPOs. There's so many of them. The D coordinators, they've shortened it to an acronym. It's RPO. But you see, you've got guys blocking. That time it looked like Darius James a couple of yards downfield, his right tackle spot. But defensively, so hard to stay sound in your coverage.
Cedric Chambers on that run. The RPO, that's the one that you love with the lineman down the field, right?
Yeah, that's the one that, if you're a linebacker, if you're a safety and you're trying to play defense, and you've got linemen 3 and 4 yards downfield, what are you supposed to do? All of a sudden, the ball comes up over your head.
Incomplete at the 45-yard line. That was intended for Pete Berryman.
That's the nature of the beast now in college football. And a lot of offenses are using it, and it is lethal. It puts the defenses in a bind, and few take advantage of it better than Auburn. Maybe Ole Miss will run those run-pass options.
Don't forget, we've got more football coming up next as we will head to College Station. SEC Spring Football, Texas A&M, presented by Regions Bank. It's also streaming live on Watch ESPN and on the ESPN app. A lot of folks wondering exactly what Texas A&M football will look like in 2016 after what was a disappointing 2015 and transfers. We talked about it earlier. I mean, you want to talk about what you thought would just a few years ago would be the perfect place for a quarterback, but yet you lose 2 5-star guys to transfer out last year. But maybe it's stabilized with the transfer in of Trevor Knight.
You get the quarterbacks out, they got to change the coordinator.
And a perfect throw and dropped. Darius Slayton. That ball was dropped right into the proverbial breadbasket.
I'll tell you, Jeremy Johnson had his struggles last year. But this throw right here is exactly very similar to the one he threw versus Louisville. You know, that's a Sunday type throw. You see Slayton, you wonder if the back judge that time just got in the way. Look at him, he can't get back fast enough. Hey, it's spring for them too. Knocking the rust off. Slayton needs to come up with that catch for his quarterback.
They'll go underneath, and pass is caught out at the 45-yard line by Rock Thomas. He'll pick up a dozen. 2.5 to go here in a running clock situation in the fourth quarter.
What a pretty ball, though, from Jeremy Johnson.
Nice tight spiral again, going near side. A one-handed grab by Tony Stevens, but he's out of bounds.
Nice concentration by Tony Stevens. Didn't leave himself enough room. Nowhere to go with that football. He was right along the boundary by the time the ball arrived. You see number 8. You see that ball actually pulled him out of bounds. What a great catch by Tony Stevens. Nice extension, too. To come up with that catch versus John Broussard.
Little sidearm toss to Thomas. Can't break the tackle.
Another way to get touches, though, to their playmakers. You know, you talk to these coaches, it's a similar theme over and over again. You know, they want to be patient, want to run more plays, but they want to be more explosive, and they got to get guys that can be those playmakers. They just be out there making plays. Every once in a while, you got to make the play. Rock Thomas is one of those guys that needs to get those touches. It may not come at the running back position this season.
Shaw lit up, loses the football. It's picked up by the White. And out of bounds. Gary Walker comes up with the football.
Watch this shot. Bam. Explodes right through the tackle. Great job separating the receiver from the football. Chase Ritter generating a turnover for the White team. Makes that drop by Darius Slayton. You go back to a couple of plays. You know, otherwise, you're knocking on the door of the red zone. Instead, it's a turnover going the other way.
See, I don't think Gus Malzahn wants to run another play. He may just call it an afternoon of football. 10 seconds on the clock. And that should do it for this 2016 edition of the Auburn spring game. Our first look at that young man, John Franklin III. The quarterback battle. I don't think anything was solved today.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Auburn University, we thank you for your attendance in today's game. The Tigers return to Jordan Hare on September 3rd to host Clemson in the season opener. The autograph session will begin in approximately 15 minutes. We ask that you enter the field when instructed through the field level gates. Please do not enter the field over the walls in the north and south end zones. In the interest of time, we ask that you please limit autograph requests to one item.
We'll tell you, okay? Yeah. Okay, all right. Hey, everybody look at me. Everything is going great. We're going up. Don't do anything to compromise our team and everything that's going. All right, make sure we do that.
Some post-game comments from Gus Malzahn to his team. He'll have some post-game comments to us when we come back. More from Jordan-Hare Stadium after this.
SEC Network Spring Football is presented by Regions Bank, proud to be the official bank of the SEC, and in part by AT&T, mobilizing your world.
You are watching SEC Spring Football, Auburn, presented by Regions Bank. Let's go down to the field. Maria Taylor's caught up with Gus Malzahn.
Thanks so much, Dave. And Coach, you said one of the big keys is staying healthy. You were able to do that. And you told your team you liked their energy at the end of the game. What else stood out as a positive?
Well, I think that's what really stood out to me. Our guys were flying around. They're having fun playing a great game of football. We didn't have any injuries today. I mean, that's real big. When you put the ball down and let your guys play, it's been a long spring, you know, and we're finishing things up. And so really, I just feel great about our energy and the direction we're heading for next year.
It's our first time seeing the Kevin Steele-led defense here in this spring game. What stood out to you as a success for that side of the ball?
Our defense is flying around. I mean, they're playing with an attitude. Our defensive front disrupted things. Our linebackers are playing downhill, and the defensive backs are making them earn it. So playing very good defense, and they've done that all spring.
Well, a lot of people in this stadium, they wanted to see the quarterback position be played, and we got a chance to see all three. What's your assessment of the QB play?
Well, I think anytime you rotate quarterbacks with different groups and different receivers, you know, it's good to see how they're going to react. Who can move the football, who can put the football and put points on the board. You know, it's good. We got an opportunity for all three to have equal reps.
We saw the one touchdown pass by John Franklin III, and we also saw some deep threats by Jeremy Johnson. What was your favorite explosive play on the day?
I mean, Marcus Davis making a play. He's a senior. He's been great for our program, and on A day he makes a play. And offensively, that was probably my favorite play of the day.
Okay, what happens next for this squad now that the spring game is over in preparation? Because September 3rd is coming soon up against Clemson.
Yeah, it is. We got one more practice next week to kind of clean things up, and you know, we'll get prepared with that. But you know, we're just getting ready for a good off season, a good summer, and getting ready for fall.
All right, well, good luck. Thanks so much for your time, Coach.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Maria. Coaches and staff been great to us this week, letting us into their office, and certainly it's a little different than game week in a normal SEC season. You get inside the doors here, and they give you more open in terms of the stuff that they give you, and they've been certainly helpful for us getting ready for this season. But your thoughts? I mean, one of the things I talked about was some big plays, and I think we saw a few more of those than we had in the past.
You know, other than when the ball ended up on the ground, I think this is what you were looking for out of a spring game. Coach mentioned it. You have no injuries, had a couple of nice explosive plays. Defense was playing with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of effort. You know, the defensive line, you want them to be able, the tempo setters on that side of the football. I think that certainly was the case here today. They weren't going to come out here and show a whole lot, but I think what you want out of an A-Day is exactly what we got here.
Well, we did see some defensive players really step up, and I think that's an area people were also looking at, and Maria has caught up with the guy in charge of that defense, Kevin Steele. Let's go back down to the field.
Thanks, Dave, and Coach Steele does have a smile on his face. What was your assessment of the way your defense played in A-Game?
Well, it's kind of been the way it has been all spring, Maria. We're working progress, but the key word to that is progress. We're making progress.
What stood out to you as the highest point for the defense, or a play that stood out to you?
Well, I think the first group was we minimized. Explosive plays didn't exist except for one, and then we were very effective on third down.
And we love seeing Carl Lawson out here in the spring for you. How can that young man really help you moving forward in the fall?
Well, everybody knows Carl, his skill set is really, really special, and he's had a very good spring. He's very explosive. He affects others around him, both the guys he plays with and the other side of the line of scrimmage.
All right, thanks for your time, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, there's no doubt that Kevin Steele has some players to work with this group, and 55 is certainly front and center.
Yeah, he's the guy that they've been waiting on, the guy that they need to stay in that lineup. We've already talked about the negative yardage plays. If you want your defense to be able to create, to disrupt an offense, sacks, tackles for loss, that can come from your end position. It can also come from your defensive tackle spot. Montravius Adams is one of those guys as well that came back for his senior season. He and Carl Lawson entered this program the same year. Obviously, different trajectories. Well, Adams has largely been able to stay healthy. Lawson, not the case. They can keep him on the field. They can keep Adams playing hard and Lawson healthy. It changes the dynamic for that entire defense.
All right, let's switch sides of the ball and talk about the quarterbacks. I think a lot of people here certainly had their eyes on these three guys, in particular John Franklin III. As we look at these numbers, Stinch, if you walk out of the stadium today, who is front and center in your eyes?
Whoever it is they snap it to is going to be the quarterback. I mean, you look at it, you're going,
That's great. That's great. They pay you for that.
That's exactly right. It's solid gold insight. What are you going to take away from this stat line? What isn't on there is the ball security. We've mentioned it several times over the course of the game. They weren't going to come out here and show much offensively. Obviously, the quarterbacks were not live, so the rushing yards are largely meaningless. That's the biggest element of John Franklin III. We didn't see in the zone option or even the QB read game. They weren't going to keep it. So what was his impact of the game? It was minimized in that regard, but the ball security, if you were looking for that, I think you saw that out of the new entrant in John Franklin. Did a good job of managing the pocket, gets the ball downfield, lets his receiver make a play. That's something that Rhett Lashley mentioned he wanted out of his quarterback. And we saw other guys contribute in the running game. And we know that Kerryon Johnson is going to be a component of what they do in their rushing attack. So they've had to get the H-backs involved. They've moved Rock Thomas into a position where he can get catches. So to me, I think this offense, obviously a work in progress, much like Kevin Steele said about his defense, but encouraging in a lot of different ways. But from a quarterback standpoint, is there clarity? Not from what we saw here today. I think those scrimmages where the quarterbacks were live were probably more telling.
Yeah. This is an Auburn team that won't have a whole lot of time to figure that out when the regular season gets here, because Clemson comes rolling into Jordan-Hare Stadium to start the season in early September. And you better be pretty sure where you are offensively when the Tigers come to town. And it doesn't get much easier. And you see Arkansas State, and you've talked about, they are always contending in the Sun Belt. That will not be an easy game, and then the onslaught begins.
Yeah, you go straight into division play. Now, albeit you're at home, and you look at Auburn's schedule, the way it lays out, you're at home through the entire month of September. That's ideal. Your road game versus Mississippi State without Dak Prescott, depending on how you did versus A&M and LSU, who are both questioning what they have at quarterback, there's opportunity on the front of the schedule. It gets rocky in the second half of the season. But given the fact you got a new coordinator, given the fact that you don't necessarily know who your quarterback's going to be, certainly coming out of spring and maybe not till late in summer camp, it's probably not a bad setup, especially knowing that in the back end of the year, you get a break every other game, it seems like, we get to come back home.
All right, one other aspect that we wanted to look at today was tempo, pace of play. And we saw that in the first half of this game. Assess what you saw from that aspect.
It was so hard because there weren't a lot of sustained drives. There was a lot of big plays, and then they would jump the football and try to get back over it. But clearly that emphasis is being placed on this offense. I'd be shocked if we don't see it early in the season.
All right, close to 40,000 on hand, getting a look at what it would be like in September for the 2016 Auburn Tigers. A fun day, a gorgeous day here at Jordan-Hare Stadium as Auburn put the wraps on their 2016 spring football campaign. The Blue wins at 19-10 for those keeping score. So for Matt Stinchcomb and Maria Taylor, I'm Dave Neal saying so long. Time to get you out to College Station and Texas A&M spring football.
This is a Texas